Hey there, you're about to watch another wonderful episode of Wild Harvest. Now, of course, I will show you some tricks and some tips for local foraging and the gathering of wild edibles, but the reality is, and the truth is, you must do your own homework. There is no replacement for learning and gaining the experience and knowledge that will give you 100% accuracy on touching and picking and eating the wild edibles. And the only way to do that is to turn to the books, turn to the material online, and most importantly, find a good, experienced, and knowledgeable local forager and take a course with them. Then you'll be confident in your own wild harvest. All right, let's go enjoy some gathering.
You know what I love about gathering wild edible plants is that no matter where I find myself, whether that's at the edge of a parking lot harvesting wild carrots in the middle of some city, or out here at a beautiful and remote fishing lodge, hoping to land a rainbow trout, either way, as you look down and you discover and become familiar with all of the plants around you, you will see that all you are doing is foraging locally. The locality, the geography, wherever it is you find yourself, the reality is that local foraging is the key to the wild harvest. Money bite right there. Woohoo! Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm talking about. Beautiful little rainbow. Dinner. Yeah, those are salmonberry. They're not, I mean, they'll be ready later, but they're not ready.
Nice
just
flowers.
Yet. Yeah, they're beautiful. Oh, hey. Here we go.
Ooh.
Perfect. This is lady fern, Ethereum filix femina. You don't even try, don't even try. It took me long enough to get that to roll off the tongue. It is lady fern, and it is also edible. You hear often about eating the young shoots of a plant. So the young shoots, in the case of ferns, are their fiddleheads. Now, here's the thing about eating fiddleheads, at least in the case of lady fern and also sword fern, which I see around here. They can be toxic if they're not cooked. They have a substance called thymidase, and it breaks down the vitamin B thiamine.
Interesting.
So we don't want to eat it raw, just in a salad. You're going to want to blanch it or cook it or change water or however you want to do it. But one way or the other, you're going to need to cook this plant.
Okay.
All right. Now, here's the catch. When you come to picking it, what you want to watch out for is anything that is a hand span, like if you just put your hand like that, you know, in height or taller, just leave it.
Okay.
Here are the ones you want, these little beauties right here. All right, so that's what we're looking for. Now, you should be able to just pop it out with your hand like that. If you take too many of those fiddleheads, you actually take too much energy away from the rhizome, and the plant dies. So in this case, the recommendation is no more than 3 per plant, which means let's take only 2 per plant.
Okay.
Being a vascular plant, ferns have neither seeds nor flowers, only spores. And you can find them, well, wherever it rains a lot throughout the world.
All right, let's take a look at this one. This is more what I was looking for. Polysticum munitum, which is western sword fern.
Okay.
All right, you can see the difference, I mean, the size of this compared to the lady fern. Now here's our little fiddleheads here, and I want you to maintain proper harvesting. They say you can take up to half of the fiddleheads. Let's not do that. Let's just take 2.
Okay.
There are so many around here. If you just go around and just take 2 fiddleheads from each one, that's good harvesting.
Yeah.
You can see also there's such a drastic difference between the lady fern fiddleheads and these western sword fern fiddleheads.
The color on these is amazing. They've got this sort of gold, bronzy shine, like I can't really describe it.
Well, they look furry too, right?
Yeah.
So now, don't worry about the brown flakes. You can leave them on or you can take it off, depending on how you want it to look in the dish, I suppose. So, obviously you've worked with fiddleheads before in the kitchen. I don't know what chef hasn't. But western sword fern and lady fern, that's got to be new.
Yeah, I've never seen these. These look different. Like right away, they're lighter. The texture's kind of similar on the lady fern, like when I rub it in my fingers.
Yeah.
But this is new to me, so who knows? It's going to be interesting to find out. Oh, that was a nice one. You know, this is one magical world. I've had such a good experience everywhere I've been. I've been able to enjoy the moment, embrace the surroundings, and really dial in to where I am. One thing I can't share is the smell and the sensation of having all of this green around me and that extra bump of oxygen. Where it's invigorating, it's also relaxing. I've got a lot of thinking to do about how I handle familiar ingredients. I'm not necessarily 100% comfortable just cooking and going forward with the fiddleheads without playing with them a little bit. They're different than what I've used. That's all there is to it. I've got to think my way around it. And then, of course, the trout. Those little guys are precious, and I want to make sure that I handle them with a very, very delicate hand. Somewhere in all of this, it's still more so about finding the balance.
This is beautiful. What a beautiful feast. Tell me what you're thinking. I gotta know, now that you know what you're dealing with.
Well, looking at the fiddleheads, the fact that I've never played with these ones before, I've got a learning curve. These guys, I'm really curious what it's like underneath and what happens to this feathery sort of outer coating on it.
It's like fur, isn't it?
Yeah. And then the trout, something about fresh caught trout that the word respect comes to mind.
Why?
For 2 reasons. Life has been given for us to enjoy, so I want to make sure that life has been celebrated. And the flavor is so delicate. These fish are small. So my instinct is to use a very light hand in how I treat them, not really going for big, bold flavors, but really to accentuate what's there.
You know, I want to capitalize on something you just said. This was a life given for our lives. I just think that we have to look at all of the life here, the fish and the ferns, as a life given for us. There's so much research being done right now on what they consider the sentience of plants. It's a hard thing for a lot of people to swallow. We want to look at them like they're rocks or pieces of wood, but they're living beings as well. I think the same way that the fish are, you know, and we have to give them all the respect. There's a lot to really read through and to figure out when you're dealing with ferns. There's so many beautiful ferns, and they vary in many ways. This is a time when I find that feel comes into play. With ferns, check out how they feel, and notice, are they feathery-like? Are they hair-like? Are they coarse? Are they sharp?
And that's one way to get to know a plant as well. It's not all just sight and parts of the plant. It also is aroma. What do you smell? This particular fern actually has an aroma to it, and I can pick up on that, almost cucumber-like.
Unbelievably fresh. Look at how beautiful that is. So I'm thinking, it's such a beautiful morning out here. I want to take advantage of being at this wonderful fishing lodge. This trout is amazing, and I have so much to work with. My first course, I think I'll do a smoked trout. Kind of a classic preparation, nothing too fancy, but these guys are so small. I think I can cure them in time, smoke them, and they'll be just perfect for a starter course. Lemon and fish are friends. Even when smoking fish, lemon adds a lovely nuance to the overall flavor profile. Just to help the salt and the sugar melt. Now this goes into the fridge for a few hours.
All right, let's take a look at our sword fern here. I do love it when a plant has a peculiarity to it, a particular shape to it that really enables you to positively identify it. But this one's kind of fun. Notice how at the base of this little leaflet, there's this little lobe, little nub, little lobe, if you will, that points up. Right there. See that? There you go. That little guy right there, and they all have it. It's just one way of figuring out which plant you're actually looking at is to note that this is a peculiarity of this plant. You don't have it on other ferns or other similar plants, only on this plant. And that way you see it, and you go, okay, I'm very confident this is the plant because look, there's the little lobe, and I don't see that on any other plant.
This variety has me a little perplexed in how to treat it. I know I have to cook it, and I know that's essential because I've got to pull out the toxins. The other ones, look at these little lady fern fiddleheads. They're tender and delicate. The most important thing here is when I blanch and refresh, can I keep that color? Sword leaf ferns. I kind of like what's happening there. Now that the green is being revealed, I think that's quite beautiful. The feathers are no big deal. It's actually quite nice, but rather than having a green vegetable flavor, I find these starchy. I need to try one more thing with these. I have to try sauteing them. I like what I'm seeing with these. Sauteed for the win. For the main course, I'd love to make a delicious sauce to go with the trout. And to do that, I need a stock. First, some celery, some of my onion bits, and trout bodies. Nothing goes to waste. I always start my stocks with cold water. And the trick is to bring it to a simmer, but not to boil it. I want to keep it clear and fresh and flavorful.
You said you wanted some alder for smoking?
I did, yeah.
So you said dead and damp, that's most of that. And then I threw in a couple of live ones as well, just for the sake of it. So is that about enough?
Yeah, that's done. That's perfect. Thank you.
Here's your smoker.
A quick pickle on these little lady ferns is going to be really nice with smoked trout. Time for something a little bit crazy. I'd say that's perfect. trout friends. All right, now time for this. Nice batch of alder. There we go. Time to smoke this trout.
This beautiful little fern here is the lady fern. And this is the choice edible fiddlehead for the West Coast. Over on the East Coast, it's ostrich fern. Here, lady fern. It's a delicious little fiddlehead. But you want to be really careful in harvesting them because you can easily kill this plant. See, the thing to remember about a lot of plants and trees is that the real life force, the actual plant itself, the living being itself, is mostly under the ground. We just see the tops of the ground, the trees, the flowers, the things come up, but actually what really matters to that living being is what's underneath the ground. If you're able to look underneath the ground, you would see that the majority of most plants and trees have much more structure under the ground than they do above the ground. What this all means is that the tops of these ferns, these beautiful fronds that will become quite large throughout the summer, are there to service the rhizome that's underneath the ground. Through photosynthesis, it's feeding the rhizome. So if I come along here and I pick all of these fiddleheads, I'm basically starving the plant to death at that point for the rest of the summer. It will likely die. That's why you want to harvest responsibly. So in this case here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fiddleheads on this one plant right here. Now some people would say, oh, we'll take half. No, maybe a quarter. So in this case, 2 would be just fine. So I could take 1 here, there's my 1, and then a second one, lower down, a smaller one. There's a couple more coming up, and that's it. That's where I stop with that particular plant. Now I move on to another plant and harvest the same way. So remember that what you're seeing is not necessarily the most important part of any tree or plant. The brain, the heart, the soul of these living species of shrubs, vines, flowers, plants, and trees is underneath the ground.
Time to check on the trout. I think these guys are done. A nice little shine to the outside. I know for the amount of time that I've had them on the smoke that the flavor penetration will be just about right.
And here I am. Wow, this looks amazing. So visually speaking, this is why I love working with you so much. That's the kind of plating where it's already speaking to me. But now it's your turn. Tell me what we're looking at here.
Well, this is kind of a story of our environment. This dainty presentation is making me think of how delicate those fish were. Those trout were beautiful.
Yes, they were. All right,
Ready?
shall we? Yeah, of course I'm ready. This looks great. Here we go. Ready?
Let's do it.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Kevin, you're missing out, dude. Oh, I don't want to talk. I just want to keep eating.
Delicate and bold, all at the same time.
It's like sweet and sour, salty and sweet. Oh my gosh, it's got everything going on. I can't put my finger on just one thought here because 3 bites, 3 explosions of flavor in my mouth. What you've got is a wonderful combination of flavors and textures. And it's that fish texture is amazing, like it's wonderful. Oh, this is stellar. Yeah, he did it this time. This one's out of the park. Rainbow trout at its finest.
I've got an idea for the sword fern to actually use it to flavor a dumpling. Just a couple of eggs, Now, time for some flour. Okay, now the fun part. Just a gentle and soft knead. Nothing too aggressive. I want these dumplings to be tender. I'm starting with the sauce right now, which is a beer blanc, a classic wine sauce. I've got butter in my pan, I have shallots in my pan, and I'm sauteing them just enough that they're soft, but no caramelization. And now it's time to put in white wine. Crank up the heat and let that reduce. The trout stock that I made earlier is going to go in now that I've reduced the wine by about half its original volume. The blanch and refresh move again. Right now I'm just cutting down the sword fern. This is the component that I'm using to garnish them. So I'll saute the dumplings and I'll confetti then coat them in this wonderful sword fern. So I've got everything hot, ready to go. The last thing is for me to cook this fish. Skin side down, always away from you, so the oil doesn't splash up and burn you. All right, thanks for your patience.
Patience was not required because I knew something that looked like this was going to arrive. Wow.
This dish sort of evolved as I was playing with the ingredients. I've got these little dumplings in here, which are made of the sword fern, but it's caramelized. The bones from the trout became a stock. So that trout was a zero waste dish.
Well, I'm going to give it a shot for you right here. Fantastic. Creamy, smooth, almost in the realm of comfort food. However, I do want to say, though, that the lady fern, Fiddleheads, I actually like them best on their own.
I get it, because they're wonderful.
They're wonderful, and I don't want to miss this flavor right now.
Yeah, I'm loving this.
Yeah.
Sincerely. I think for me, the learning is phenomenal. The locations that we're experiencing, all of them have been spectacular. Really, you know, for me, my culinary journey is about exploration. And that's where I think you and I have a common ground.
Absolutely. It's such a gift to forage locally, even in a place where you've never been before. If you take the time to learn the plants and the trees that are all around you, you become familiar with them. And then when you return sometime in the future, maybe even years later, all of those plants are waiting for you like old friends. Old friends ready to join you on the Wild Harvest. This is out of the park. It's knocked out of the park, man.
If you'd like to continue the Wild Harvest with me and Chef Paul Rogalski, then please check out our website at wildharvestfilms.com, where we have recipes and foraging tips along with deleted scenes and outtakes from the making of Les Stroud's Wild Harvest.
Directly inspired by the series, Chef Paul and expert forager Les Stroud bring you the Wild Harvest Season 2 recipe book. Highlighting all of Paul's dishes and complete with behind-the-scenes stories, it is available for $29.99. In addition, a DVD of this season is also available for $19.99. To order, please go to wildharvestfilms.com, Wild Harvest TV show on Facebook, or Les Stroud's Wild Harvest on YouTube.